Come on.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned into the Check Engine podcast. We're hosted on Anchor.fm, and we are streamed worldwide on all the platforms that you use to listen to your favorites. Nick and Andrew are here. Tristan is skipping out on us this week, but that's okay, because this week we are joined by IMSA's newest superstar, a man who, when his career is over, will undoubtedly be referred to as a legend of motorsport. A man whose speed is matched only by his sense of humor, who in just over a week will be a 12 Hours of Sebring winner, and who hails from the greatest state in the union. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Telitz is back with us.
Hey guys, how's it going? I agree with that entire intro. I only agree with the greatest state in the nation. I'm not so sure about the rest of it. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all plays out.
That's fair. Because I mean that would probably have to be the first question, right? Do you did we flatter you well enough?
That was probably a bit overly flattered there. I was a little bit flustered. Didn't know what to say.
We don't do guest intros that often, so we're open to feedback.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. It was very flattering. You could maybe dial the flattering down a little bit,
sure,
and then go
a little more mean. All right, yeah,
get a little bit more mean.
Although I will say, from just a outsider perspective, I think I don't think it is flattering to say that you are kind of like a great star in IMSA right now. It seems that a lot of what I read is Aaron Telitz, and maybe that's because I follow Bozzy and a bunch of other people associated with the team, but I do think that I think people love you. I think your performance speaks for itself, and I think that that's kind of uncommon. IMSA doesn't have a ton of personalities. So I'm just wondering, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like it's a role that's kind of thrust upon you? Is it all kind of happening naturally?
Do you know what? I love being in IMSA, and I like the paddock, and I love all the people in it, and I'm just having such a great time. So I guess it makes it easy for my personality to come out and be a little silly or goofy. I'm driving for a cool team with cool team owners, Jimmy and Sully, who are totally willing to let their drivers and their crew guys like Bozzy just kind of do their thing. If that's who you are, that's what you're going to do, and they're not going to make you fit into some box. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's more interesting for me, and I think for everyone else, kind of matches the fantastic liveries on the cars. It's not that it's, like showmanship or anything like that, but it comes across as exciting. It's a team you want to watch, a team you have to watch.
Yeah, we want to be an exciting team. We want to be winning too. I mean, we've had fast cars last year, winning the Sprint Cup Championship and 3 races along the way. Was good, but we're going for that overall championship. So that's our goal for 2021. We just got to keep figuring out how to get back to victory lane here.
Yeah, man, I'm looking at the stat line, and so according to what I found, you got 16 starts in IMSA, and you've got 6 podiums and 3 wins out of 16. So that's not a bad way to start your career.
No, doesn't sound so bad to me. I'd like to get a few more podiums in some of these bigger races. I started off with second place at Daytona, my first ever IMSA race, and I went, this is going to be great. And then, obviously a little rocky from there. But the big 4 races, whatever it is for IMSA, trying to win the 6-hour race, 10-hour race, 12-hour, and the 24-hour. So we want to win one of those this year.
So that's actually a good transition to a question I've got here. So 2020, crazy year for a lot of different reasons. You were originally set to be the endurance only driver, and through situation being what it was, you got promoted, I guess, if you want to say that, to a full season. But in the off season here, you were locked up full time for 2021 relatively early. So like, what does that do for your confidence, having that sense of, if you want to call it quote unquote, like security going into a new season?
Yeah, for me, it was awesome because I have rarely had 2 years in a row where I get to kind of really build on the previous year with the same group of guys, same car, same series, and just really get to work and try and focus on winning this championship. And so I have been enjoying that a lot. And you could see at Daytona, even though we didn't end up having the race we wanted to have, our cars were fast. We were there. We were in a position to be Rolex winners, but in a 24-hour race, so much stuff can go wrong, and it tends to. So I'm really excited about this year and having that security. I like that word actually is nice. Like, it feels good in racing to have some security, because it's kind of a career where half the time you don't have any security. You're just like, well, I don't know, just like kind of slinging it around, seeing what happens.
Right, and that's why I put it in quotes, because in and of itself, it's not a secure profession unless you're someone like a Scott Dixon or a Jimmy Johnson. But like,
right,
it's awesome to see that. You were one of those first announcements that came out. You kind of have it in your head, like, okay, right around after Christmas into that New Year time, you're going to start to see all these press releases coming out on like Sports Car 365 and Racer and all that kind of stuff. And you were well before that, if I remember correctly. Like, let's just get the deal done, so, which is cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Was nice to have that feeling for sure.
Yeah. Another change from last year to this year. So last year, the team you drove for was AIM Vassar Sullivan. This year, just Vassar Sullivan Racing. The AIM group kind of went its own direction. So what's the most noticeable difference now versus last year when it's just the Vassar Sullivan team?
Yeah, so the big difference is AIM. What comes along with AIM is Keith and Ian Willis, who are awesome guys. That was like our core engineering guys there. Those two brothers, and so we missed them, but we got to keep Jeff Fickling, who was our head engineer on the 14 car, and we added Matt, and I am blanking on Matt's last name. Hopefully, he doesn't listen to this. But he got
not a lot of people do, so you're pretty safe.
Yeah, so
we'll send it around.
That's like the big thing that's missing is Keith and Ian, because they're like the AIM. They're the glue right there that keeps AIM together. But we had a good group of guys that kind of stuck with us. A lot of our crew guys are the same, and so that's really nice moving forward. Obviously, Jimmy and Sully leading the ship, same guys leading the ship. And Jeff Fickling on our car, same guy, and then TRD that helps us out with support on the weekend too. Those guys are there. So really, we're missing Keith and Ian, and Andrew too. So Andrew Bourdin, those three from AIM.
Got it.
Awesome. So looking into the future, then, not just this season, but into the future, do you think IMSA is where you want to stay? Are you aiming at other series? Is it the road racing? Is it the multi-class? What's the future for Aaron Telitz? Where does he want to end up?
I'm actually loving IMSA. Really loving it. I like multi-class racing. I actually like GT racing. I think it's really fun. Coming from open wheel, where it feels like the battles are a little bit more spaced out, and you're not getting these groups of cars running together like you do in GT racing. I really enjoy that. I'd obviously like to go do some racing in Europe specifically. Everybody wants to do the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So that's something I'd like to do, whether it's in a GT car or a prototype car. Either one would be awesome. I always have my eye on Indy, because that was my goal when I got into racing years and years ago. Indy car is what I wanted to do and make it in. And it just didn't end up happening for me. Cost a lot of money. I crashed too many times when I was in Indy Lights, and not too many times. I crashed once when I was in Indy Lights, and that put a damper on that, basically. But it just didn't happen. But if I get an opportunity to go do the Indy 500, I'm going to be jumping both feet into that car, going for it.
That would be amazing. I mean, moving sort of in that direction, having Gavin on the team, I mean, what was that like? Obviously a racing legend. Was that inspiring for you? Was that just sort of like another teammate type thing? I mean, what was that atmosphere like?
I mean, I think it was weirder for him because we all could have been his like kids, basically. He's been around forever, and it was just so fun having somebody that's seen it all and has done it all in sports car racing, and then he was just so solid in our car, and just kind of like always putting it in perspective for us. He had like this great quote that kind of stuck with me throughout the entire weekend. I still have it. I remember we were just out at dinner or something talking about, the race, and he's like, sometimes this race just chooses you, and that's how you're going to win it, because he's tried it so many times. He's only won it one time, and so I was like, that's kind of true, and that's how it felt this year. We had the car that could have won the race. We would have made it to the end, but the race didn't choose us, so we weren't going to make it.
Wow. That seems like an incredibly well-adjusted mental attitude for a race that I imagine if you do happen to DNF early, that could be super demoralizing, right? You're just there seeing it continue for the next 10 hours.
Yeah. It was just a bummer because like I said, we had a car that was really fast. Our Lexus RCF GT3 car was honestly going to be a contender had we made it to the end, and something out of our control happened and nothing we're going to do about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
So we'll just kind of sticking with the Daytona thing. I know we want to move on. It wasn't the result you wanted, but a little bit different this year. Well, actually, hang on. Let me do a follow-up quick to the Gavin piece. Obviously a dude who's won everything there is to win in IMSA and in sports car racing, but he was always a Corvette guy. So having never driven the Lexus before that weekend, how did it feel weird for you? Like when you were trying to show him things on the car, was there a lot of that?
There was quite a bit of it, honestly. There's a lot of things different about the Lexus than the Corvette, and he's got to learn it. And as a race car driver, I don't know, it didn't feel weird telling a legend something about your car because we're the ones that know about it. It'd be the same if what if we did get Scott Dixon to come drive our car for the 24 hours of Daytona? That's not going to happen, but what if we did? We would do the same thing. We'd tell Scott, here's how it works. Here's how this works.
Yeah.
I just imagine, again, not being in that position. Like if I were in that position with someone of his stature, and it needs to be done, to your point, right? You've got to show him some things, some ins and outs, but I feel like when you leave that conversation, you're like, holy crap, I'm telling Oliver Gavin something. Like I'm showing him. That seems backwards. And it would mess with my head a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, not so much, because even when I go do iRacing, I know nothing about iRacing, but I've got a lot of friends that know a ton about it. And so they'll just tell me, things I need to do differently or how you set the screen. There's some important bit about setting the screen and going in with the settings, I guess. I had no idea about. So, I think just as a race car driver, you just want to know that. And if you're the one that's supposed to tell another fellow race car driver, you don't even think it's weird.
Actually, on the topic of telling people things, and well, Nick, you have a problem with Corvette and the shift away from the front rear to the bin-engine. So Aaron, will you just tell him that the new Corvettes are still Corvettes? They're fine. They're fantastic. And he should come back. He should come back to the Corvette fandom. He should appreciate the new car. Oh,
you should appreciate the new car. I think the new car is cool. I'm not, jean short wearing, white Nike Monarch guy with the mustache, but I still think the Corvettes are really cool. So even though they're mid-engine, I know that's not historically what they've been, but you got to modernize at some point in time.
So now that Andrew just threw me under the bus here, can I get a couple seconds for a rebuttal? So
for a rebuttal.
So I do appreciate the car. The car is amazing. I just don't think it should be called a Corvette. If GM wants to race that car, if they want to sell that car, awesome. Fantastic. give it another name. Give it, bring back Firebird or do something else. But a Corvette should just stick as what it was, what it's known as. And that's just my opinion. I see you shaking your head, Aaron. That's cool. Andrew's been telling me this.
I don't like that. I don't like it when car companies come up with other names for new cars when really it's just what they are. I'm trying to think of an example. You remember when Ford thought they'd get rid of the Mustang and they made the Probe? Like, Probe was a cool car, but it wasn't a Mustang. So, I don't know. That didn't work.
Yeah, but they also made a really cool, fast mid-engine car, and they called it a GT. They didn't call it the Mustang. The Mustang is still a front-engined, rear-wheel drive car.
Right. Well, they wanted to make a car that was going to go compete at Le Mans, so they had to call it something else. They didn't use a Mustang chassis for that.
Yeah,
they're using Corvette chassis to go racing. They want to be called Corvette.
It's got to be the pinnacle. It's got to be what's at the very top. All right, moving on from that slight diversion. I have to know. I have to do these temperature checks on you, Nick. I just got to know. Let's talk about something completely unique and something that I just saw on the Twitter timeline for the first time, Aaron. That would be your painting.
Oh yeah.
And I don't mean this in any rude way. I was completely blown away because I have no ability to draw anything. And
likewise.
You're obviously incredibly talented. Where did that come from? When did that start?
So I don't want to you guys think I'm really good at painting, so we're going to try and keep that in your heads, but it's not as hard as it looks. Yeah. So
someone who's really good.
I'm telling you, you can get, it's basically, I'm doing the same style of painting as Bob Ross does. And reason I got into it is because you watch those Bob Ross shows and he says, drag out your paints and you can paint along and you can do this. And I used to think to myself, this Bob Ross guy's full of shit. I'm going to try this one time. So I did. I got all the kit. I got the kit for Christmas. I asked for it kind of as a joke. And my girlfriend at the time, wife now, got it for me. And so I set up all the stuff and I followed along and did a Bob Ross painting along with him. And I got done with it. I remember getting to the end and I'm like, holy shit, anybody can do this. Because, you just follow along, you do what he does, and you can learn from there. And now I can do paintings without listening to Bob, which is great. But I don't know. I really do. I think it's something anybody could do. You guys, you say you suck at drawing or whatever. You don't need to be good at drawing. Can you hold a brush and kind of make some moves on a painting? Yeah, you're good to go.
I don't think I can. But so this is just a couple of years then. It's not like something you've been doing since you were young or grade school or anything like that.
No, first painting I did I think was in 2017. We're talking 3-4 years. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know whether just to be in awe or in jealous or just be like, I hate this guy.
I'm 100% jealous. I think that's incredible.
Okay, to this point though, being artistic, walk us through then your helmet design, because like a helmet for a race car driver is kind of now for you being in a closed cockpit car and people can't really see it anymore as much as you were an open wheel, but still like a helmet is kind of like your identity, right? It's something that is yours. It just it's not the team uniform that matches the car or anything like that. So did your newest helmet design have to do with your art? Is there a landscape on it somewhere, anything like that? And we can post pictures of it if we find it. And I know this is a audio medium, but we can, we'll post on socials what his helmet looks like for everybody listening.
Yeah, there's photos out there of my previous 2 helmets have had landscapes on them. And most notably is at the top of the helmet, the whole scene is like a Northern Lights scene. And I get it painted by TJ Coyne, who is a Wisconsin guy out of Madison. Octane Visual, giving him some rep. If you want your helmets painted, send him to TJ. He's a great guy.
I used to race karts with TJ. Great dude.
See, there you go. Yeah. So anyways, he does my helmets. And I just had this idea a couple of years ago when I was doing the painting. So I'm like, hey, man, do you think we can do a landscape on here? I'm thinking Northern Lights on the top of my helmet. And he did it, and it looks awesome. So that's been my previous 2 helmets. My most recent helmet kind of has a similar color scheme to a lot of those Northern Lights helmets, but instead on the top, I did an hourglass, and in the hourglass, it's got a whole bunch of things that are getting dumped into the hourglass at the top. Like it's got emojis like happiness and sadness and a lot of money signs and broken hearts,
there you go.
And heart emojis. And it's just all the things that go into trying to be a race car driver. And then at the bottom of the hourglass is just a trophy, like, a first place trophy, I guess, or whatever it is, whatever you want it to be.
It's badass.
So I did that too. So I got away from the landscapes on my most recent one.
So how often do you update then? Is it every season? Is it every 2-3 years? Like,
kind of depends when I get helmets. I buy helmets or get helmets for free from Bell, as being a Bell athlete. And so whenever I'm up for a new helmet, I get a new helmet and I send it to TJ.
There you go.
So how long before your art starts appearing on your own helmet?
That's a good question. I don't know when my own art is going to appear in my own helmet. Sort of, I guess, with I got a guy coming to my door. It looks like he's selling something. Give me 1 minute. 1 minute. We're just doing a quick mid-break podcast break.
We're doing this live. This is staying in.
Yeah, we're leaving this in.
Hey, how's it going,
man?
How
you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Sorry to disturb
you. Do you want to come back or?
Yeah, I can come back to you.
Yeah, I'm just real quick doing a podcast.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, come on back. Thanks, man. I don't know. How long are we going to be, guys?
Let's say
another half hour.
Yeah, another half hour.
Half an hour?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. He seems like a nice guy. We'll just
I could tell by the accent that was not Steve's mom.
No, not Steve's mom, but we do have another.
Time.
We're just getting distracted here. Okay, where are we at? My art on a helmet.
Yeah, that, and I've never seen someone request a door-to-door salesman return.
Yeah, well, I don't think he was a salesman. It looked like it was for a youth group of some sort. I saw the pamphlet. So
gotcha.
We'll have him come back.
Yeah, that's cool. So to take Andrew's question and twist it a little bit, and nothing obviously against TJ, he's awesome. But will you ever consider painting your own helmet?
I don't think I would, because helmets are, they're supposed to be. Well, I guess they're supposed to be for you, so I could give it a go. I don't think it'd be very good, but I could try it.
Maybe. So
that's cool.
That'd be fun. Okay, so one more question here real quick from me, and then I'll let you get back in, Andrew. I don't want to bogart this whole thing, but
no, not at all.
So seeing how you just interacted with the dude at your door, very Midwest thing to do, just be that nice.
Yeah.
So, and there's not a lot of, you've got Kawicki and Kenseth, and there's not a lot of big time racing drivers from the Midwest. So is there like a Midwest thing that a competitor or a teammate or a co-driver like has noticed that they just didn't understand? Like, it's a Midwest thing.
I'm trying to think. I think the niceness, or like the non-confrontational bit, is probably the one thing that maybe people get confused about. Like if someone, I'll be angry like if someone takes me out, but I'm never ever going to just go over to someone. Like, I don't know, you see NASCAR fights sometimes, and even if I was in NASCAR, I don't think I'd ever participate in one of those. First of all, because I get my ass kicked, but second of all, just because that's not me.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like, it's on a way smaller scale with karting, but I won't like the way someone races me, or I'll get knocked off or whatever it is. And like, there's so many things in my head I want to say to them at the scales, but I'll just walk by. Like, I never do. I usually just end up like saying it to my dad, as we're walking back to the trailer, because I'm the same way. I don't want anything to get physical. I'm not a fighter. Right. I don't claim to be. Like, it's just rather just leave it alone.
That's funny.
I hear that.
It's not about me though. Andrew, you say things.
All right. So let's look forward to Sebring.
Let's do it.
How's your prep going? Oddly enough, we're having Bozy on the week after Sebring. So I guess first let's talk about Sebring. Then let's talk about ways we can annoy him when he's on our podcast.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, well, the number one thing is try to get him to explain his biscuit something. I don't know. He's like the king of reviewing biscuits, but
That's true. That's
Okay.
true. I was going
I
to
don't
go the
even-
pineapple pizza route.
oh well, yeah, well, pineapple doesn't belong on pizza either. So
Oh, God, another one. Oh, that's just
You're one. Aaron.
doesn't belong on pizza. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
All right. Okay. So yeah, so the biscuits thing, I'm sure is big with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, just try and see if he actually is a robot or not, because no one's sure yet.
That's true. That's true. See,
Posey, thanks for coming on. Are you a robot?
I'm on the other side of that. I think he might be getting cyberbullied, and I think we need to help him. We might have to save him.
Can robots get cyberbullied?
That's a really, you know what? That's how I'm going to lead it off. That's a good question.
Yeah.
You know what would be the ultimate, Andrew, is when we send him the link to hop on. If he clicks it and the thing comes up that says, "I am not a robot,"
He has to make a check. Yeah, there you go.
you got to check it off. Yeah,
Captcha.
yeah, the recaptcha.
Oh boy. But yeah, so looking forward to Sebring. Where's your head at? What are you looking forward to? What are you feeling not necessarily stressed about, but what is that like going into another super endurance race?
Yeah, I'm feeling good because obviously we know that our car is good. It was actually really good there at the previous Sebring event too. That in 2020 we just had that unfortunate event of spinning out on oil or water or whatever the Corvette that Ollie was driving threw down all over the racetrack.
That's right. That's right. I remember that.
He owed us one. That's why he was.
Is that why he was on your team?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm just starting that rumor. That's what we told him.
Hey, we are not professional journalists, so we will report that as fact.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
I would. You might as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So we feel good about Sebring. Everybody on the team feels good about it. Drivers feel good about it. We've got that same strong lineup coming back. Jack, Kyle, and I in the 14 car. So we're feeling like it's going to be a good race for us. But again, it's 12 hours. It's a long time. Anything can happen. But we're going to go out there and give it our best like we do every time.
So you hear, from watching these things, and the commentators will say it, like 12 hours at Sebring oftentimes can be tougher than 24 hours at Daytona. So for those few listeners of ours that maybe aren't as into motorsports as we are, like, could you just kind of explain what makes Sebring so much tougher on your body or the car or whatever that is?
You're right. I mean, the big thing is Daytona, if you actually look at how many like real corners there are, I think it's like five like actual corners you have to go around. And Sebring has 17 in a lap. So, just do the math, 12 hours of 17 corners every single lap versus 24 hours of 5 corners every single lap. Yeah, it's tougher at Sebring. And the track is really bumpy. It's not smooth like Daytona is. You're braking a lot more. The brakes actually get worn out, a little bit faster than they would at Daytona. So getting your brakes to last the whole race can be a struggle for some cars. So just I think like the mentality of taking care of the car almost matters more at Sebring than it matters at Daytona, because at Daytona it's really easy to take care of your car, and at Sebring it's difficult to take care of your car because the track wants to destroy it every lap.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to ask. In my somewhat recent experience of watching endurance racing, there's an interesting time difference between like a 2-hour race or a 3-hour race and something that goes to 6 hours, like at Watkins Glen. So there's a point at which there's like an endurance switch in the way it seems, in the way the engineers approach the car or the pit stops. But then even in like a 6-hour race, there's a momentum shift with like the last 2 hours where suddenly it becomes almost like a sprint. Does that still apply in a 12-hour?
Yeah, it does. It does. Honestly, it applies even in the 24-hour race. The goal of even a 24-hour race is to just get the car so you can get to the last 3-4 hours, whatever it is, and then you start going. And at Sebring, kind of the same thing. We're we're just getting that car to the last 3-4 hours of the race, and then we're racing from there.
So it's not necessarily baby it until those last couple hours, but it is pay attention to what you're doing so you can get the car there in strong enough condition to push it during the last part of the race.
Yeah, correct. So, I mean, the whole race, we're not going slow the whole race. Like, if you look at the lap times, they're still fast all the way up to the very end of the race, but maybe the end of the race is a little bit faster, and that's all it takes. You know, in racing, we talk about tenths of a second. Makes a big difference. And so, yeah, if you save a couple more tenths for the end of the race, that might be what makes the difference.
So, sticking with Sebring and like the Sebring Daytona comparison, there's also potentially like an off-track difference as well. And I'm talking about like the fan base. So like, I have not been to the 24 hours of Daytona, but Tristan and I have gone to the 12 hours of Sebring, and we were just blown away by the tailgating and the camper. And it's like, it's spring break with a race going on. So obviously during the race weekend, you guys are like, you're locked in, but do you get a chance just to kind of walk around and take in like the Sebring experience when you're there? And is it similar at Daytona, or is Sebring just a world unto itself?
I mean, Daytona still has a lot of like partying and stuff happen. If you go walk around where the motorhomes are, a lot of guys still having fun there, but it's a bit more tamed down. You know, it's not nearly as rowdy as Sebring gets. I mean, Sebring is insane. People assemble these like scaffolding towers that they go up onto, and they've got like full-on lazy boy chairs up in them. And in 2019, I did like a little golf cart tour through the Green Hill or whatever it's called back there, over from turn 7 down to turn 10 at Sebring, and it's just wild the stuff that people are doing. And they set up like full bars, and they've got barbecues happening, and it is a sight to behold. I recommend any racing fan that is thinking about an endurance race, you should definitely try out the 12 hours of Sebring.
Yeah, I mean, that was, you know, we had been going to Road America so many times, and that's the 2 hour, 45 minute, right? And then Tristan and I are like, let's go try one of these endurance races. And it's like, man, 12 hours, like it just messes with your head as a fan. Cause like after 3, like you're ready to be packed up and going home. And it's like, holy crap, we still got 3 more of those left, or 2 more of those left. And it's like, how are you going to stay entertained or whatever? And obviously the on-track entertainment, but we were paying as much to the shit going on behind us as we were in front of us on the other side of the catch fence. It was like, we saw some dude put a full-size couch on a lawnmower. He took the body off the lawnmower and cut a hole in the bottom of the cushion so the steering wheel could pop up, and he was driving people around on his couch. Like, we had there's some real, we'll call it Southern ingenuity going on down there. So it's just, yeah, I agree with Aaron's sentiment 100%. You've got to go just once, just to say you did Sebring. Did you look? Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I was just trying to look up and see if, like, what's Florida's opening stage currently? Like, what?
Oh yeah, how many fans are they actually going to get?
Yeah, are they going to have fans in attendance there? Do you know?
Yeah,
Aaron?
yeah, they're gonna have some fans in attendance there. I don't know how many they'll have in attendance, but it'll be enough to have a good time. I'm sure of it. I'm sure those Sebring fans will be just partying like normal.
So are they going to keep you in the that Chateau Elan off of the hairpin there? Are you staying in that hotel, or?
No way. I think like Penske and Ganassi and Wayne Taylor rent that out, and everybody else fends for themselves at the La Quinta.
That could be worse.
Yeah,
it could be worse.
Yeah, be thankful for the La Quinta.
Now you got me thinking about the hotels around VIR.
Ooh.
Yeah, that can be rough.
Yeah, that was my bad, Andrew. You don't have to keep throwing that back at my face.
But that's something that I consistently kind of get stuck on a little bit, and I didn't realize it necessarily until we went to a Canadian Tire. That's that for not every race team, there's not like reserved spaces for the drivers and the teams necessarily. So you're staying at the same hotels. are doing all of the same things as the drivers and the teams, which is kind of a cool experience as a fan. You know, you probably have fans staying at the La Quinta in the room next to you. You know what I mean? That's kind of interesting, an interesting piece of motorsport that doesn't necessarily happen with like other team-based sports, simply because they rent out a building or a floor for an NFL team or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you can be eating breakfast and some guy will come down and he's in the race with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Here's a question. So your co-driver, Jack Hawksworth, and Zach Veach is in the sister car. So there's kind of like a similar career arc, for lack of a better term, on the team. How does that change, or does it influence engineering meetings at all? Having people with similar previous track experience and, you know, now in the same car or similar car together.
I mean, in terms of engineering, it's great. I feel like we're all really on the same page. And Jeff Fickling comes from an open wheel background as well. So it's kind of like the whole team's kind of built around that. Hey, we all kind of got to IndyCar and then we went over here to IMSA. And so it works really well just because we know how to communicate with each other. So we understand it. No one's getting confused when we say something about how the car's acting or what we'd like it to do differently. We don't have any miscommunication, which is really key on a race team. Because, you know, if you don't concisely communicate to the engineer, the other drivers, what you'd like to do or not like to do, that's when you have huge problems. At least if someone knows what you'd like, they can go from there. And so on our team, we have no issue with communication throughout drivers to the engineering crew to the team owners. Team owners are IndyCar guys too. They know the whole deal. So I think that is really nice on our team. Just that continuity and the feeling that everybody is on the same page is really valuable.
It seems like that, you know, when you're talking about Sully and Jimmy Vasser, that's like an on-purpose thing that they did. Let's get guys in who obviously are quick and know what they're doing, but hey, these guys all came from up the open wheel ladder. These guys are all probably going to like similar things in the car in terms of, you know, balance in corner entry or brake pedal feel and all that type of thing, right?
Yeah, no, there's definitely a method to their madness, and I think, you know, other teams are noticing that and saying like, hey, it's kind of working for them. I don't know if we can maybe try something similar. It'd be interesting to see what happens, you know, down the line here if some of these teams, you know, draft in Indy Lights drivers more for some of their endurance rounds, seeing how Jimmy and Sully did it with their team.
And that's your endurance, if I'm not mistaken, right? Kyle Kirkwood?
Yep.
Is he he's your guy, and he's Indy Lights this year as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So just another guy with very similar experience. So can only mean good things.
Agreed.
So we're only, well, you're going into your second race of 2021, but there was already an announcement for 2022 that I'm interested to hear your thoughts on. This announcement that GTLM is going away and it's going to be replaced by a GTD Pro category, which is essentially your car that you're already in. Some modifications, maybe some things different with the tires or whatever, but just your thoughts on that. And I mean, if we can't announce it yet, obviously it's way early, but do you feel like TRD is looking to go in the pro category, or where do you kind of see yourself fitting into that?
Well, yeah, first of all, just to answer the class question on is it good or not, I think it is good just because GTLM doesn't seem to be a category that's holding entries, but it has all these manufacturers that already have GT3 cars that race in GTD. So why not? BMW can do a couple pro cars, and Porsche can do a pro car. Corvette can transfer their cars over to a GT3 spec. I'm sure that's not easy for them, but they can. You know, Acura, who's never raced in like a pro GT category, can do it. And same with Lexus. I don't know yet. I can't tell you for sure. But I'm sure Lexus is looking at it like, yeah, why wouldn't we want to go, you know, into a pro category and try and win like an overall GT race? Because that's something we can't really do right now in GTD is be the first place GT car, because the GTLMs beat us in every race. So I think it can only be good. It's just going to increase the size of the GTD class, which is already the biggest class in IMSA. So, maybe we're going to have 20 plus cars at every race, which is awesome.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah.
That'd be the greatest.
That would be huge. And you talked about, obviously a bucket list thing is something like Le Mans, right? Not sure where the ACO or the WEC is standing on the whole GTLM thing, but if everybody switches over to the GTD Pro platform, I mean, you guys could just pack up the whole Vassar Sullivan team and ship it across the pond for that race then. I mean, that would be phenomenal.
Right. I mean, that'd be awesome. That'd be the dream. I think I know that Lexus would hop at that in a heartbeat. If suddenly GT3 cars could race at Le Mans, they'd be like, heck yeah, put those on an airplane. We're heading over there. It'd be great.
That would be awesome. I am so interested by Lexus, excuse me, as a brand. I just think every time we go to races, we see their booth and it's almost like people don't know. And I feel like they don't know that the cars are cool. But I feel like in the past year or so, people are starting to catch on with the LC500 and the RCF and all that stuff. Do you think racing has played any part in that, given that the cars are great, they look fantastic? They're just visible. You're always in the pictures. Do you think the racing front of Lexus has played anything into sort of like the brand consciousness shifting into people like, oh yeah, they really do make awesome sports cars?
Right. I mean, that's so Lexus wanted to become more of a performance brand quite a few years ago. I think they had obviously I am blanking on their supercar that they built. Oh my gosh. The
LFA?
The LFA.
Yeah. So when that came out years ago, that was their big, like, hey, we're a performance brand. We can build awesome cars. But they just built that one. And so then from there, how do they get people to realize that Lexus can build performance cars? You got to go racing. And so that's how they developed and built the RCF GT3 car to go racing, built based off of their RCF car that you can go buy at a dealership. And so the racing aspect and the performance aspect of Lexus are one and the same. They have to do racing to prove that they're a performance brand. People see that on the racetrack. The people that own the cars get more passion out of that and feel like they're justified in owning a performance brand. Where before, if Lexus wasn't racing and you had an RCF, people would be like, oh yeah, it's like a grandpa car that's got a V8 in it. Like, what are you doing, man? So that's what people would think. But since they're racing and they're winning, that's how they're making their brand be a performance brand. They want to compete and be on equal footing with BMW and Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, I think the progression's been awesome to watch simply because based on the eye test, right, the RCF and the RC500, I mean, they're just magnificent to behold. The 500 is it's just the coolest thing on wheels right now, I think.
The LC is awesome. The LC actually looks like when like car companies do those concept cars or whatever, and that's pretty much what it was. It was a concept car, and Lexus went like, hey, what if we actually built that? And they're like, I don't know, we could try it. And so they did, and everybody wanted it. It looks awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's fabulous. That's been cool to watch.
Last year when we went to, this was pre-COVID, we went, the three hosts here went to the Chicago Auto Show. That was Andrew's favorite car of the entire show. Like, just gushed over it for days, for weeks afterwards.
That's when they introduced the convertible version. I was just like, this is how it's meant to be.
Yeah, the convertible version is nice. Very nice.
Yeah, just insane.
What do you got, Andrew? No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you put a note in here, Nick, about Aaron doing some dirt racing, which seems like probably the most fun you can have on a racetrack, right? Racing on dirt in a dirt car. How does that compare?
It was an absolute blast. This was actually two springs ago, or was it just last spring? Maybe it was just last spring. It might have been. I went to Green Bay, and there's a dirt track there I think Luxembourg Speedway is what it's called. I don't know if you guys know that. Yeah, Luxembourg. Does that
Heard
sound
of
I
right?
didn't know that one.
Heard of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a dirt track over in Green Bay, and a buddy that I used to race go karts with, Mike Stroik, out of Madison as well. He had a friend that had a dirt midget, and he's like, "Hey, if you come and like get the thing running, you can just come do this exhibition race." It wasn't like a big show or anything, but yeah, I went over there and I don't know, I fit in the seat and I drove around. I got push started by a four wheeler. It was awesome. And I did, hot laps. It's just the coolest thing. Like the way dirt track racing works is, you got your drivers meeting like, all right, we're going to do hot laps. And you go out and you just get pushed out and you go around and like they throw a green flag and then you do a few laps and they throw a checker flag. You just got to come off the racetrack. And they're like, all right, cool. Next thing's going to be racing. So go buckle in for that. Yeah. I just think the whole show of it is really fun. And obviously driving on dirt for the first time was wild. And I got the hang of it by the end of the night. I had no idea what I was doing the first few laps, but by the end of it, I could figure it out. And I would love to go back for more. I'd have to ask him if I can come back and drive a car again.
That was going to be my follow-up was like, how much did you have to unlearn? Like to just get your arms around what you were doing that night,
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the things, like everything you do with your right foot on the throttle in a GT car or an open wheel car, like that's just not how you do it when you've got a sprint car or midget car or whatever. Your right foot's running the whole show pretty much. Like, yeah, your hands are doing some stuff, but it's your right foot that's running pretty much everything to make the car do what it's going to do. And so that was the toughest thing to learn, is to get your foot to do some things that you would never ever do in a open wheel car or a sports car.
And how much brake do you actually use? Like,
I didn't use any brake, but I was told when you get better at it, you can use the brake because there's only a brake caliper on like the front left tire. And so you basically would use it to like help set the car into a corner essentially, right?
So it rotates.
Rotates, drags the car in. I think once you get better, that's kind of like the next tier type of thing. You start using the brake. I never used it. I just lifted and it got sideways and I went back on the gas and drove it from there.
You were still at like noob status at that point.
Mm-hmm. I was just total
That's
rookie out there.
So, when you go through like an entire racing season, right? Obviously with IMSA, with sports car racing, it's spread out a little bit more. It's not the grind that a dirt racing season would be or a NASCAR season would be, but there's still, I don't mean this to sound demeaning, but it's like that traveling circus, right? You pack up, you load up, you move on to the next spot. There's a ton of travel. So you're spending a ton of time with your team, your teammates, your crew. So what do you guys do to like keep it light on the road? Like, is there any pranksters on the team or like stories you could share about just like, how do you guys keep it light?
I mean, we just keep it light by just having fun with each other. We try not to get sick of each other because you can easily do that. But when the day is over, we're gonna go get beers at the local watering hole or whatever. When Rona's not ravaging the country, we'll go do that. And so, in 2020, it's been weird not being able to do that so much. It's been a lot more. We're at the track and we're there for, just a couple days in 2020, and then we just would leave and that was it. So you never get to see the guys very much, but it's going to be nice when things get back to normal, building more bonds with the people on your team. And I think that's just really important for the camaraderie of motorsport. Cause, you're looking out for everybody because it's not a safe sport. They're the ones taking care of your car so you don't go out there and hurt yourself. Right.
Yeah. I mean, selfishly from the fan angle, COVID's been just miserable for us simply because you can't go. And that really sucks, especially with IMSA. I mean, there's no experience like IMSA going to the track and actually, going everywhere, right? Almost everywhere you can see, you can stand. And, man, I really miss that. Does that negatively impact the teams as well? I mean, not just empty stadiums, but the rest of it.
Do you know what? It's kind of weird. Where nobody is walking around, like there's no fans walking around anymore, and so I think the teams might secretly enjoy it because nobody's bugging them ever. They're just doing their job, doing their thing, and the drivers. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It is kind of nice sometimes when they're like, all right, you don't have to go do like all this stuff that we normally have to do. We've got meet and greets with fans. We've got autograph signings. We got to go do the Lexus hospitality. We're going to have a tech talk because there's a group coming through doing a tour. There's all these things that we normally have to do, and we're just not doing them now. And so it'll be interesting to see like the shock of when like things go back to normal. Like, all right, we've got all this stuff we're doing again. We're going to think like, oh man, we used to do all this, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that feels when it does get back to normal.
Does that extra time now go towards like additional race prep?
You know what? No, it goes towards twiddling our thumbs and complaining about how much time we have to do nothing. Like I can't tell you how many weekends Jack and I and like our engineers, it'd be like 3 p.m. or whatever, and we've got a night practice. We're like, what the hell are we supposed to do for 4 hours?
I was trying to tee up for like a.
So what do you do for 4 hours? How do you guys
talk about the car more? Like that's the thing. We have used the time wisely. Like then we'll just be like, well, I guess time to look over like dampers or whatever. We might as well dive into this. We'll go down rabbit holes or we'll figure things out. And to be honest, I bet you we've made the car better because of coronavirus, because we've had so much time to sit there and really like dive into different aspects that maybe we wouldn't have time for. Maybe we just be like, yep, that'll work. Put that on there. I'm going to an autograph session. See you guys later.
Is it possible to over prepare a car? I mean, you think that's an excuse people use, right?
I would say it is. You can overthink it. But if you're doing it constructively and you're debriefing in a way that everybody's contributing and we're not just talking circles around, theories, you're going to make the car better. So there's good things that can be had when you have more time, but we still complain about it. So no matter what, it doesn't matter. The fans can all come back and we've got to do a bunch of stuff. We're going to complain about that, or they never come back and we're going to complain about all the time we have. So either way, we're going to complain, but we'd rather complain with more people. So hopefully you fans get to come back.
Race car drivers are never happy. That's the moral of the story. They're always complaining about something.
Yep.
That's funny.
So we've got just a few minutes left here before we let you go. So I'm going to shift gears off of motorsports for just a second. So I was looking up some stuff, doing some research, and is it true, Aaron, that your birthday is December 13th?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so you and I share the same birthday. So
with Taylor Swift.
And Taylor Swift too. Yeah, it's a great day. You, me, and T Swift. Great day for America and therefore the world.
That's what they call that.
Yep.
And therefore the world. So I always ask people this who have those mid-December birthdays. So growing up for you, was it too close to Christmas or were you able to double up on gifts?
So what I would have is sometimes I would get like, if I was going to get a big gift of some sort, like if I was getting a new snowboard kit, my parents would be like, here's your birthday present and you're not getting much for Christmas. I'd get that all the time.
Okay.
That would happen like pretty often growing up. So yeah, but I would always get like some birthday things and some Christmas things. Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was the same way. And if there was a big thing, they would pick one or the other.
Yep.
So like it might be a card for your birthday, but the big present on Christmas, or the big present on Christmas and a card with $10 in it, like on the other day. So yeah. Okay. So we're in the same boat then. We're in the same boat. So, the audience isn't going to actually see us. We have the cameras on for conversation's sake. I want to ask you, what is the weirdest thing you have, Aaron, off camera that's within reach? Like, what's the weirdest object you have?
Weirdest object I have within reach. I've got, what do I have down here? You know what? I don't have anything super weird. I guess the weirdest thing would be our Alexa thing right here. That's about it. I can grab that.
You'll summon her.
Yeah, careful. Careful,
now
Andrew. What
she's
about you?
talking to us. Now she's talking to us.
No, that's easy. I got this. I have the heatsink from a Radeon 9800 Pro.
I have no idea what any of those words are.
I knew none of those words.
It's a graphics card from back in the day. This is the heatsink that was above the processor. Yeah,
hey,
graphics
you can
card.
figure out how to get a 3080i ordered. Just let me know.
Yeah. Send me. Let's see. What's the going right now? $2,600, something like that. Just cash out.
Insane, and I don't even think you can get it.
I'll make sure you get a box at least.
Great. $900 for the box, probably.
I'm sure it is on eBay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Weirdest thing I have. I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's weird. I have my tax documents are close.
Oh, let's see those.
You really want to see them?
No.
Well, here you go.
Get out of here.
or my girlfriend's sunglasses. I have those.
I do have Schitt's Creek coasters. This one says,
"Oh wow,
David."
Love that show.
Love
that show. Ew, David. That's that's awesome.
Are you like many other racers and auto journalists, Aaron? Do you have a desktop garage to go with a real life one? A collection of little cars and whatnot.
A desktop garage? No, I don't have a desktop garage. I do have some model cars that I built, but they're downstairs. I've got a couple model cars, but that's it. I don't really collect diecasts. I don't.
That's fair.
I have a whole bunch of Hot Wheels, probably still at my parents' house somewhere. But that's what I have.
I mean, Andrew, when you get to race the real thing, you don't really need to collect the models.
That's for the plebes.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, Aaron, what's your daily?
My daily car.
Yeah.
Right now, I have a Lexus GX 460. It's a bigger SUV. Great for the winters up here in Minneapolis, where I live. But I'll be trading that in for something different come the springtime. So I'll keep you posted.
RCF?
Fingers crossed on an LC.
LC 500 convertible?
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I'll
send photos if I get one.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be awesome.
Go for
ahead,
it, Andrew.
Nick.
No,
right.
You go.
All right. The last question that I have, I guess kind of a weird one, especially if you're going to downplay your painting ability. If you have to choose one right now, would you rather be remembered as a legendary racing driver or a legendary painter?
Legendary race car driver. Painting is just something silly I do.
But what if? But I'm thinking, like a painting in a museum. Boom, that's an Aaron Telitz. That's an original.
There's some big money in that, dude.
I mean, that'd be great, but I'd rather be a broke race car driver, to be honest with you.
Oh, you love that. That's heart right there.
Yep.
Right here in the chest. My last question. You had mentioned that bourbon was one of your hobbies. I saw a tweet. I think you were replying to somebody. So I poured myself a glass of bourbon just for you. What is, give me like one or two of the finest bourbons that you found.
So I think my favorite bourbon that I really like, but it has to be a little bit watered down because I can't handle the real thing, is if you can get Booker's bourbon. Booker's is awesome. It's like 115 proof or 120 proof. It's something ridiculous.
Whoa.
It is knock your pants off. But the flavor is incredible. So if you find any Booker's bottle, they're normally really expensive. You can find Booker's for, if you can find it for under $100, that's like really good. I believe. I might be totally off base on that. Maybe you can get it for cheaper. I'm not sure. But that's one of my favorite bourbons. But go-to bourbon all the time, Buffalo Trace. Drink Buffalo Trace all the time. That is a great bourbon.
Nice. I'm a Larceny guy. Larceny is a new find, or Bullet's pretty good.
Ooh, yep.
If you want to, I don't know if have you ever tried Red Stag?
Yes, I have tried Red Stag.
So here's something, and if you're like a purist, anybody listening out there, even you, Aaron, don't hate me for this, but if you mix Red Stag with Coke, it tastes just like you're drinking a cherry Coke. It is super dangerous. It's really good. So if you haven't done that, Aaron, I would recommend you try that.
Okay. Mixing bourbon with Coke. That is something you shouldn't do, but I might give it a
try. So yeah, if you get a chance, Stag and Coke, I'm telling you.
So let's
All right,
see
Andrew,
here.
I think we've...
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, the IMSA Road America race is that first weekend of August. Just trying to picture what the world's going to be like in August, whether we'll actually be able to meet up with Aaron in person and bother him during the important times before the race.
I bet you will. I'm hoping that Road America is going to be a big event. Hopefully, everybody can come out to it and have a good time. That's my fingers crossed hope.
For sure.
I also kind of hope that, this sounds really bad to say, but I kind of hope that Road America gets moved, because I'd really like to go to the Nashville IndyCar race too. And right now they're both on the same weekend, which is a huge bummer. I don't know why IndyCar would do that. Why would you book I mean, maybe that could, to be fair, that's a street race. So maybe that was the only weekend that was going to work. So hard to blame IndyCar for that, but it'd be nice to not have them on the same weekend.
Dude, sometimes, I mean, like, we are just like, that was the summer vacation spot that I was looking to go to. Like, my mom and dad were in on it. Like, let's bring my girlfriend down. Let's go hit up Nashville, because Nashville is really cool, and then see the IndyCar race. And then I looked at the schedule. It's like, oh, but we got to go to IMSA Road America that weekend. Oh, okay.
Oh, darn, we have to go to that race.
Oh, we got to go to that one.
Yeah.
But, Andrew, I think we've kept him long enough, right? I think
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Right. So
I'm pretty sure
we're going to go ahead and get out.
Asking
your buddies
donations.
Yeah, we got to get you out so you can answer the door. So, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to tune in and cheer on Aaron and his teammates, the Vassar Sullivan Lexus RCF GT3s, this coming weekend, March 18th, 19th at Sebring. You can, if you're not going, tune into any of NBC's properties, whether it be streaming or on air. You'll be covered there. Aaron, where can they find you if they want to connect on social media?
My tag is really easy. It's just at Aaron Telitz on any social media that millennials would have, not TikTok. So just Facebook, Aaron Telitz, Instagram, Aaron Telitz, Twitter, Aaron Telitz. That's where I'm at.
Bozy doesn't have you on the TikTok?
No, I don't know. I've never gotten into TikTok. It seems like a lot of effort to create TikToks, and I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I mean, if I wasn't a race car driver, I don't even think I'd have social media. I probably would for paintings and stuff, but that's about it.
Yeah, for sure. So at Aaron Telitz on any of the socials outside of TikTok, because it's obligatory, I have to say you can search Check Engine Podcast on Facebook to find us there. Andrew, where can they find us on Twitter?
Twitter and Instagram at Check Engine Pod.
There you go. So you can find us there. Aaron, we cannot thank you enough for your time. We really appreciate it. Best of luck at Sebring this next weekend and all throughout the rest of the 2021 season. We hope to see you in person at Road America.
Hopefully, I hope to see you guys there. Thanks for having me on.
We'll get media passes if we have to.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Nice.
That'll be awesome. All right. So thank you to Aaron Telitz. As always, thank you listeners for your continued support. We love hearing from you. We love recording this for you, and we cannot wait to speak to you again. But until then, take care.